So many people spend their whole adult lives or most of their adult lives preparing for and dreaming about retirement, which is why making that transition into retirement is such a big deal and can be so scary for so many people. They've spent their whole lives thinking about it, which is why today I wanted to share some surprising tips that I think will help you make a successful transition into retirement. These are tips that I've learned from working with hundreds of families who are either in retirement or transitioning to retirement. And make sure that you stay tuned in through the end, because a lot of these points I don't think you will be expecting. First point here, in order to ensure that you're going to have a successful retirement, is to build a good community. A lot of you may have heard of the blue zones. These are the areas in the world that have the highest concentration of people who live to be over 100 years old. And in studying these areas, one of the common trends they have found is that all of these people are very communal. They have a good community around them. So a good community is a huge piece to ensure that you're going to have a successful and flourishing retirement. And not to mention that this is also a biblical idea. God made us to be in community with people around us. We need people around us to bounce ideas off of, to love, to be loved by. It's just in our being and how we're made. Second thing for you guys to do to make sure that you're going to have a great retirement is to be prioritizing your health. The more that you are able to get down on your knees and play with your grandkids, go on walks with these friends that you have and have made in retirement, being able to play pickleball and build community that way, just being able to do all these various things that bring you life and bring you joy for longer. I know that age is something that we can't run away from, but I think that doing a good job of taking care of yourselves, you can have more of a longevity with what they call the go-go years, the years that you're able to travel, to be more active. And I know that this is something that we can't always control. There are illnesses and disabilities that come into play, but with how much of this is in our control, this is one of the areas where I see people having the most regret with not taking care of their bodies sooner, with kicking this can down the road and thinking that this is something they can prioritize later. But the sooner you start, the more that compounding effect takes place with your health. Third key point here, and this is one of the ways that I believe that money can actually bring you happiness, is being generous. Being generous with your money, with your resources, but also with your time, with volunteering as well, and sharing your skills, your talents with your community and the people around you. That's one of the surest ways, I think, to bring joy and fulfillment into your retirement. I've heard this as a saying, but this is also something I've experienced in my own life. I've never met an unhappy, generous person. So I think practicing generosity, even if it's something that you don't feel like is a big part of your life now, just inching into it and not doing it necessarily out of duty, but doing it just from a heart of wanting to give, or even just wanting to just try it and see if what I'm saying is true. Like, will this actually make me happy? I think if you just take a step in faith, put it out there, see how it feels for you to give your time and money, I think that you'll be surprised with the effect that will have on your well-being in retirement. Another point, and this is one that I think not a lot of people take into account, is just to be gracious with yourself and with your spouse as well. One of the things that I do think is a core reality to our lives is just that we are formed into the people we are by our habits and how we live. So on one end of the spectrum, you've spent your whole life working and doing all of these various things and gearing up to this key point of retiring. But now you're making this transition and your life is going to look a bit different now. You have all this free time. You're not putting a lot of energy and thought into this career that you've had, and things just look differently now. And for a lot of people, if they haven't kind of geared up for that, it can come as a bit of a shock. And with that can come with some bouts of depression. It can be scary, and it could be like, what have I been preparing for this whole time? And I think with all those things, it's just so important just to be gracious to yourself, like I've said. It will take time to build new habits. It will take time to ease in to this new way of life. For some of you, this may not be the case, and that's okay. And if you have friends who maybe are seemingly having a better time transitioning into retirement, don't compare if you are having a hard time. We're all built differently, And comparison really is just the biggest thief of joy. I think that's one of the things we need to kill in our lives, but especially with you transitioning into retirement. Next thing here, we are built for purpose. We're built to continue to keep growing. And with that, I think that in order for you to have a successful retirement, you need to keep learning, keep growing, keep setting goals, things to be striving towards. That helps to give you purpose, helps to give you something to work towards so that you don't necessarily plateau, get bored, and just find that you're losing purpose. I've talked with a lot of retirees that think that their life is sort of on a story arc and they've already reached the turning point in the plot and now they're on the downside slope. And I don't necessarily think that's true for people. I think that it can be a more up and to the right with your story. There's so much more life to live in retirement. I mean, you can still have 10, 20, 30, 40 plus years to live. That's a lot of life to live and a lot of story left to unfold. So I don't want you guys to cut yourself short that you're on this downward slope and that you can't still be growing. I really do think that old dogs can learn new tricks, and that's something to be aspiring for. Lastly here, and I really do think this is one of the key ones, but it's just to practice gratitude. Like I said earlier, comparison really is one of the biggest thieves of joy. And as you're transitioning to retirement, you can be comparing your nest egg to what you think others might be having, or your car to others' cars, or even little things. I mean, I feel like comparison can sneak into the silliest things of their pickleball paddle is nicer than mine, and things like that. It can really sneak in any capacity to try and steal our peace and our joy. And I think one of the main ways to combat that is to just practice gratitude. And I think one of the easiest ways to do that is as you're making your morning coffee, sitting drinking your morning coffee. If you're not a coffee drinker, I mean, just that space in the morning of quiet, just taking a second. And one of the ways that can make this a bit easier is if writing it on your phone, or if you have a journal, just writing down, maybe just start with one thing that you are thankful for, or just keep going, make a list. Sometimes I find it really helpful just if I'm in the zone on doing this, just to keep going. And I feel like that really roots me, and with others I've talked to as well, is such a good practice to root us in being really just thankful for the life that we have and not comparing our lives to others. So I'm sure you've noticed nothing that I have mentioned today is financial in nature. So of course, being able to have a successful retirement and to practice all of these things that we have talked through today, we have to have a successful financial foundation to be able to live off of. So if you are curious to see if you are on track for retirement, then make sure to check out our website below in the description. Go on there and take our 2-minute quiz just to see if you're on track for retirement. We'll send you a personalized response where we'll walk through those results for you. And please make sure to like and subscribe if this has been helpful for you, if you want to stay tuned to more content like this. Again, if we haven't gotten to meet yet, my name is Dylan Martin. I'm a certified financial planner with Stewardship Investments. And make sure that you stay tuned next week to walk through more helpful tips like this.